So it's Travis. We're at the hangout sessions. We got Miles, Arsenal fan. We got Joe, happy West Ham fan.
Whee!
So I think it's best to start with Joe, man. Tell us how you're feeling. I watched the game with Joe, by the way. So yeah,
I'm I'm feeling elated, mate. I can't take the smile off my face. I'm just so happy that the first game of the season, Slavan's first game, has just gone so well. And it's vindicated his decision to play a second string in Europa League. Because I was really worried that we'd get nothing at Arsenal and just would have sacrificed the whole Europa League campaign. But it's really vindicated his decision to do that. So yeah, I can't stop smiling.
Miles, how you feeling? How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm just pretty deflated. Like obviously going into the game, there was full of optimism. Like realistically, I think a lot of fans think that we could be title contenders this year. Like a genuine belief. I know a few seasons ago in the past, it's kind of like false hope, but this year, kind of going into the season with a bit of belief. Talks of obviously Benzema potentially coming in. So yeah, it's quite deflated really. Bit of a wake up call, to be honest.
Definitely. Like I would have definitely said we're challenging. I'm not gonna blow it out of proportion and say Arsenal aren't going to be challenging at the end of the season. There's one defeat. We're still 1 point behind Chelsea, who are the team to beat. I don't think it's time to panic yet, but it is so disappointing. I thought the first 10 minutes we came out well. Like I was watching it with Joe, and Joe didn't look comfortable in that first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
was.
mean. We started the game quite well.
Yeah,
We're popping it around early. Ox, I think, started off pretty much where he left off against Chelsea last week. But then it just kind of petered out. I think once West Ham found their rhythm, after about 10 minutes or so, well, yeah, it just looked a bit one-dimensional to me, personally.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, as I said, just a bit deflated at the moment. It's not good just losing your first game. I know a lot of people say, well, there's a long way to go, but it's just kind of just setting the tone for the season, so it's always good to try and get off to a winning start.
So Joe, that first 10 minutes, like, what was the turnaround? Like, tell us how you're feeling that first 10 minutes.
Well, that first 10 minutes, as we say, I was watching it with you, and I remember looking at the clock, and it was only 8 minutes gone, and I was just getting nervous already, and I was like watching the clock already in the first 8 minutes. But then, sort of the second 10 minutes, like everything sort of fell into place. The players sort of calmed down, and we just did our thing. Sort of, we didn't, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Like I think just all that sort of anxiety just left, and then the players did what they're good at. They just kind of passed it around, which is strange for me to say that. Like having like the past 3 seasons of Allardyce, like we did pass it around, played it out from the back, and like no long balls, which yeah, I'm happy about. It's a lot easier in the eye.
I think it would have encouraged West Ham a bit to see how, not taking anything away from West Ham, but I thought the play in the first half from Arsenal was so poor. There were a lot of passes astray. I think Coquelin. I've loved Coquelin so far, but his distribution with the ball in that game was very poor.
Yeah, it was just touching up on that. It was, I think, the Arsenal midfield today, pretty much apart from Ox, the distribution was quite poor. Ramsey misplacing a few passes.
That's one point I do want to make. Like obviously Arsenal weren't up to their best standard, but I think a lot of people in the media and stuff are gonna just go and say that Arsenal lost it. But obviously I'm gonna say this because I'm a West Ham fan, but I think we did win that. Like we put in the effort, and obviously Arsenal weren't their best, but West Ham did play to their strengths and fully deserved to win that. I think that's but
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't take it away. I can't take it away from West Ham today. I think they wanted it more. They bossed the middle of the park there. Yeah, I just like the thing that annoys me with Arsenal. I've said it before to Perry, and I think I might have even mentioned it to you before as well, Travis. Like I just hate it sometimes, especially when I just see Santi with just smiling up. Like, I don't know. At the beginning, I just see sometimes Arsenal where we're playing like, well, there's no easy game in the Premiership, but when we're playing sides that are not as fancied or we're fancied to beat, sometimes we just seem to get I don't know, a bit complacent at times.
Overconfident, complacent.
It's just another sign of being complacent again.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with Ramsey being poor today. He wasn't great. Ozil wasn't great. Santi wasn't great. When all three of them have poor games, it's not good for Arsenal.
But
I also wanted to touch upon a point that West Ham. I don't feel West Ham controlled the midfield at all. I feel well. We had what 60 plus percent of the possession. We had about about 20 attempps. I wouldn't have said. Uh, I feel like I'm
but
being biased here, but
I think you are, Travis. If I'm being honest. I think if there's what we need to have one word for like Reece Oxford there as well. Like
yeah,
6
definitely,
year
definitely.
11 Premier League debut. Have you seen the stats? He had 91% passing accuracy.
That's incredible.
Just
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
really good. He had a man's game, as they say, for a
Yeah,
Yeah.
16-year-old. He showed a lot of composure. There was times where he was dropping back, picking the ball up, played with a mature head, I thought.
Should I
And
ta-
just going back on that attempt, the attempt stat, I know Arsenal had a lot of attempts there, but a lot of them weren't clean attempts, if that makes any sense.
yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Scrappy attempts. I think that was kind of maybe not a pure reflection of how the game went, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely need to shout out Reece Oxford. He is now the man. He is now the man in East London. Do you know what I mean? Like he will never.
He's
Yeah,
going to be drawing so many chicks on Monday.
yeah. Girls, yeah. Monday, girls are gonna be hollering at him. Any girl that parred him in the past, that's it. That's it now. He's got him. Reece. Big up Reece. I tell you who else I was impressed by. Was it Payet?
Yeah, yeah.
He looked a good player today.
Oh
No,
man,
he's a really good player. And
yeah.
so composed. He just did everything kind of in slow motion. He didn't rush anything, and just he was clean and creative, which is what we need. Really,
That
what we need.
is probably one of the best signings. It's early to say, but it looks to be one of the best signings I've seen West Ham do in a little while. But whether he can keep it up for the whole season, we don't know. He's
Yeah,
going to have off days, but today was probably the perfect
he was on point. Yeah,
performance. Definitely, definitely.
I think it's another player. You look at the league, and yesterday, I know it's going slightly off topic, but I saw Leicester play, and there's some players now in the league at teams that you wouldn't expect. Having a lot of there's a lot of players out there now
Mm.
throughout all the teams in the division.
Yeah, Perry has mentioned that in recent weeks. Like he said that there's teams in the Premier League picking up players that could be playing for one of the top 5, 6 teams. I think even Jose Mourinho has mentioned that. I think Mourinho said something about Bournemouth got Gradle, who he said could play at Chelsea. I think he said, can't remember if he said Kabay could play at Chelsea. So that's definitely,
That's what I mean. You've got top players, top to the bottom of the league. I think that's probably partly to do with there's a lot of money in the league
yeah,
with record-breaking TV deals. I know, for example, in La Liga, the money isn't distributed as fairly. It's more done, I believe, on like a team basis. So it's pretty much Madrid and Barca that get the bulk of
yeah,
the money from the deal. But in the Premiership, it's more fairly distributed, the cash.
yeah.
yeah.
Obviously, you've got
Guys,
parachute payments as well if you go down.
I'm just frustrated with that Arsenal performance. Seriously, like just the lack of width, just go in everything through the middle, like, and it's lopsided the way that we set the midfield up as well. Like, I think I'm done with that whole Santi, Ramsey, and Ozil being forced into the same starting lineup now. I think one has to drop out, and we have to play 2 wingers. I think we have to for the balance of the team.
Mm.
It will be interesting. Once Sanchez gets up to full fitness, I just don't think you can drop off at the moment.
But he will. He will. Once Sanchez comes back, he's going to drop Ox out. He will not drop Santi, Ozil, or Ramsey. He won't. Ox is going to be the one that's going to have to make way, I think. Well, we'll see in the next few weeks, but
What was Ozil saying today? How many touches of the ball did he have? It seemed like he didn't have any. He was
Ozil.
in Reece Oxford's pocket all game, mate.
It's funny because I've seen a lot of people getting onto Ozil on social media, and I try not to look at it after games like this. But like, I don't think Ozil. Like, I love all three, but I don't think Ozil was any worse than Santi or Ramsey. But he seems to be getting the most stick.
You know, this is the thing. It's always the high-profile money signings always seem to, um, well, soak up the attention almost. Like, obviously, I know Czech today,
Oh wow.
definitely at
Yeah,
fault.
the mayor.
Um, I knew eventually we had to get onto that subject of Czech. First goal, definitely, it was part of his fault. Should have maybe stayed on his line, but I think people need to show more credit to West Ham because once again that ball was very dangerous. It was a kind of ball that you put in an area where your goalie doesn't know whether to go stick or stay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's just
The
the ball was really good in a
ball
place
was good.
defenders don't know what to do.
I
Um,
think
and
I
yeah,
think what you've got to do is look at a line though, because I think as with Joe, and we just noticed. I think it was Coquelin played everyone on side. I think in that situation you need leadership. You need Per Mertesacker, who's I'm not taking anything away from him as a leader, but at that particular moment, that's where you need him to go, lads, hands out. This is the line. No one goes behind. That's what I feel we needed in that situation, and then we have a line. But when you've got Coquelin a yard behind the whole defense, one quality ball, which it was a quality ball, 1-0. Boom. Not even
yeah,
going to mention check. Not even going to
And that,
mention check.
and that really made a difference today. I think the first goal
Yeah.
really made a difference because I think if you lot got the first goal, we'd have been struggling there, and our heads sort of might have been gone down, and then it could have been a big different story. You know what I mean? But because we got that first goal, our heads were high. We went in at half time feeling confident, of feeling like we could do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think once.
at that point, the first goal was crucial in the game. West Ham could then also sit back, soak up the pressure. Home fans start getting onto Arsenal's back. I don't think they found the response needed, really.
I thought Debussy had a bit of a mare as well. Like I'm a Debussy fan.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if it's just me, but I was speaking to a few Arsenal fans during the game, and I just think I know some people say Per makes up with it with his positioning, but his lack of pace at times I was seeing Koscielny having to deal with two men at a time, and I really think Per's for me is a bit of a liability, to be honest. I know you mentioned his leadership as well. He's just a mouse, isn't he?
Harsh words. Harsh words.
Half the time.
I know what you're saying. I think with Mertesacker, I normally look at Mertesacker and Koscielny as a pairing rather than just look at them as individuals because that's what it is at the end of the day. But
Talking
Yeah,
about
well,
defensive pairings,
yeah,
really think O'Connor and Reed are
Right.
gonna be a pairing to sort of look up to and stand up to a lot of
solid.
good opposition. They look really class today. Really
Definitely.
class.
You mentioned it during the game that these two just look solid, and I think that's what I was thinking at the end of the game. Like I was frustrated with Arsenal's lack of creation, but I was looking at West Ham and they did look pretty solid. There were no shaky moments at the back,
Yeah.
really.
And that's credit to Slaven Bilic as well, because a lot of the fans were saying we don't need to strengthen in central midfield. We've got quite a lot of players there. But Slaven Bilic being an ex-centre half himself, he really wants the strongest central pairing at defence. So he went out and spent a lot of his budget on Ogbonna to make sure we had the strongest defence possible, it came good today, and I think it's a good solid base to push on from.
What more do you think West Ham need this season now? Like with how many days left do we have of this transfer window? What do you need now? What would you like, West Ham?
West Ham, personally, I've heard basically Song's coming back. He's just had an injury, like an operation, so he's definitely coming back. From my sources, he's coming back, which is good. We need him, and we need another quality striker. I'm really hoping we can get hold of Hernandez. If we can get hold of Hernandez,
Wow.
that would just be unbelievable.
If you could get Hernandez and Song back in to at Upton Park, that'd be quality.
It'd be unbelievable, yeah. But what about you guys? Do you reckon this performance will affect your spending in the sort of transfer window?
What do you think, Miles?
For me, I think what it showed today was I still think Arsenal are just lacking that truly world-class striker. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Giroud, he's a good player and whatnot, but I just think sometimes he just lacks that extra yard of pace or just that out-and-out striker's instinct for finishing. I just think you can go out there, you'd have to pay the premium, but there are strikers out there that I think would upgrade us up top. And for me, still, I'd like to see. I don't know if he's going to go internal or external. Just another defensive-minded player that could perhaps slot in at CDM and centre back. Just someone versatile that could do both roles. I know Wenger's probably thinking, well, I've got Callum Chambers, I've got Gabriel in reserve, but it would just be nice to have, I think, another defensive-minded player that first job is to just defend. Because you look at the team and the midfield today, there's just not. I don't know, bar Coquelin, the others are not defensive-minded at all. Like Santi and Ramsey, for me, defensive-minded players. But yeah, I just think priority number one for me would be a striker. If I could only sign one player, it would be a striker. Hopefully, obviously, a lot of talk to do with Benzema. Let's just hope we can bring him in because he definitely, for me, would be an upgrade on what we have.
One last point, final word, Joe, man. What do you think West Ham can achieve this season?
I'm really hoping we can push for like the top 8 finish. That would be great, I think, and like a decent cup run in one of the cups. That would be perfect for me, I think. Like just sort of improving on last season. I just want to prove to everyone that we're not just staying in the Premier League to stay in the Premier League. We actually want to achieve something and like beat teams. Do you know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Last season at Upton Park, try and go out with a bang.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be an absolute dream to go in to the Olympic Stadium with European football. But I think that's a little bit too far. But we'll see what happens.
When I was heading to Upton Park last season, I overheard a West Ham fan. He was singing something bad about Arsenal, and one of his mates was just like, "John, we don't hate Arsenal. John, they're not so bad. It's not Chelsea and it's not Spurs, so we don't mind Arsenal. We don't mind Arsenal."
And we've both got mutual hatred of Spurs, so like we've got a bond over that. Exactly. I've been at games, West Ham games, where the chants are just everyone stand up if you hate Spurs. So like everyone stands up in that stadium when that gets chanted. So we've got a bond over that.
Well, I wish you well for the rest of the season. Obviously, I don't want us to get beaten by you at Upton Park. We're going to come for you that day. Not sure, but hopefully we all have a good season. Thanks for coming on, Miles. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
No worries.
No worries,
Take
man.
care, guys.
Take it easy.